Good morning. This video is going to be referencing resources available to cite sources. Okay, so what's really good for us here at Tamusa, particularly for you all as students, is that our library has done a lot of the work for you as far as amassing resources. So let's take a look at that. We're going to go to University Library, which, as you recall from the last video, is right here under Academic Support. Okay. Now, if we go on our library page, again, I love the layout of this page. It's very, very basic and easy to navigate. If we click to Get Smart, uh, we're going to have a number of resources available to us. So, if we look over here on the left-hand side, we've got basics of APA and basics of MLA. I'm going to go by way of support and by way of example and look at the MLA. Remember, though, that as far as first year composition is concerned, and as far as basically any writing occasion that you have is concerned, you're going to use the style of documentation and formatting that is appropriate to your audience. So if you're writing to, say, an audience of psychology majors, for instance, you would use APA versus an audience of literature majors, you would use MLA and so forth. But let's just, for the sake of demonstration, look at the MLA. Okay, so one thing I will caution you with as far as this list of resources is that some of it may be outdated. For instance, this here is referencing the 7th edition, I believe. That is outdated. You're going to want to look at the 8th edition or later. I believe the 8th edition is the current edition. So, however, we've got a number of great resources listed here, and that's what I want to briefly call your attention to. So, um, the number one resource is going to be our um, Purdue OWL online writing lab. Okay, so, and again, I do want to emphasize you want to make sure that you're looking at the 8th edition or the 2016 revision, and I think actually there may be a new revision since then, but the 2016 revision has been standard for, well, obviously 2 years. For instance, this tutorial here, in my own sort of perusing of sites, I discovered very fairly quickly that this tutorial is out of date. So you want to be very careful about that. But let's look at the Purdue resources in general, which are fairly comprehensive and accurate. So let's click here. We get to the Purdue site. Um, and really what I want to call your attention to, I mean, you can go through and you can look at all this in-text citation, how to cite various materials in your works cited and so forth. But definitely look at the in-text citation, okay, because this is going to give you something that's going to be essential for including material in your work. Okay. Um, you can also, search how to cite interviews and so on and so forth, because of course we're working with interviews in class. But anyway, this is a great resource. The other thing I want to call your attention to on this site, all right, is the Purdue OWL YouTube channel. I recommend highly that you look under playlists, and you find the MLA, yeah, here it is, the MLA, and you watch all 5 of these videos at least a couple of times. All right, whether you're using MLA or APA, whichever you are choosing to use for your particular projects. I would watch these videos a few times to really um, get your get yourself acclimated to the style that you are planning to use. Um, okay, and I'm not going to play the videos through this video, obviously, but I wanted to point this out to you. So to get here, you would go to Purdue Writing Lab and then go to the YouTube channel. Okay? So that is basically what I wanted to point out to you. I'm not going to go through and actually, demonstrate all the citation and so on, because, as I pointed out, there are fantastic resources already available to you, including, and not to diminish, the Norton Field Guide to Writing. Um, so between the Norton Field Guide to Writing and between the Purdue resources, I feel that you're going to have a strong foundation, okay, for these for citation, right? Um, Also, you can look on their playlists and you see writing for various different audiences and so on and so forth. Um, Writing for particular professions and so forth. It's really a good um, practice, if you will, to just spend some time going through some of these videos, but particularly for our purposes right now, the MLA and or APA guidelines. I do want to show you something else really quick. Um, so in Blackboard, if we go to course content, before too long, this video that I'm making right now and that I'm talking to you in right now will be linked in this space here. But I do want to point out that I put a worksheet on signal phrases in here so that you can see kind of how signal phrasing works, and you have a list here of signal phrases. Um, and this discusses the difference between the nuances of signal phrasing in MLA or APA. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out to you. All right, this concludes this particular video. Again, please make use of the resources that I'm pointing out. I also, before I sign off on this video, I want to address citation engines online like EasyBib and so forth, and the accuracy thereof. Quite frankly, the accuracy of EasyBib and so forth varies quite widely depending upon the citation engine. My advice here, as far as those go, is to check the EasyBib citation. If you plug in a citation into something like that, check it against something that you know is accurate. Like, for instance, the citation generated through EBSCOhost, through Academic Search Complete, right? Check it against something like that before putting it in your works cited page. The same holds true for the works cited function in Microsoft Word. Um, Microsoft Word has a works cited function. Most of you are familiar with that. You probably used it in high school. The sort of tricky aspect to that is that oftentimes Microsoft Word is behind the curve as far as how updated it is. And so you might find, particularly with MLA, that it might be slightly off. So that's another thing that you want to check against something that you know is accurate. Okay? Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use it, that you shouldn't use these tools that are available to make your life easier as far as citation and research, but you know, check them for accuracy. Okay? Do at the very least, again, I've said this is probably the fourth time in this video, but watch the videos in the playlists for MLA or APA, depending on which style that you're using, and look at the pages, particularly on in-text citation, because in-text citation is something that a program like Microsoft Word, it can do it for you, but it generally doesn't do it for you as well as you know, it can be done you doing it manually, and it's really important. In-text citation is essentially important for establishing ethos and establishing your own credibility when indicating that something is from a source other than yourself, right? Okay. Um, I hope that you avail yourself of these videos and these resources. And as always, if you have any questions, you can email me, talk to me in class, come by the office, and so forth. Um, all right. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.